Hey everybody, welcome to episode 92 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. BT, how are you today?
Hey, yeah, doing really good, thanks. How are you?
Not bad at all. Now, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking Norse for a little bit, lore and star players, and we've dragged actual tournament trophy winner with Norse and friend of the show, Miltonio Banderas. Milton, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks, Ben.
Good. I've got PVA glue on my hands, and I'm now rubbing my hands together, peeling it off like a school kid. It is. It's so satisfying.
It's like an extra treat whenever you use PVA. Just like, oh, I get to glue my stuff and play with it.
Yeah, no, I did my hobby, and I filmed it as well. And I was like, on the video, I was like, people are going to pick up on the fact that I'm using my fingers to spread PVA around. But little do they know, not only is it a hobby trick, it's also entertainment for when you're recording a podcast several hours later. Not several hours, it's 20 minutes later. I do wash my hands. That's bad. Anyway, apart from excellent hygiene and hobby tips, Ben, what are we talking about today?
Today, yeah, we're going to be talking some Norse, going through some of our opinions on them and what we found so far. We're also going to be ranking some star players because we've had quite a few come out now, and we figured it might be time for a bit of a tier list. So, yeah, we're going to be doing that.
Absolutely. I think it was Gaz Toller who most recently on one of the comments was like, you need to do a power rankings for star players now. And to be fair, we've had some cost reductions. We've had a bit of a meta shift with the tier lists. And like Ben says, we've had, I don't know, probably about half a dozen star players added. So it felt appropriate to redress that. Now, the last time we took a deep dive into star players and upset a whole load of people, which was a whole load of fun, we had Milton on. So that's kind of an absolute 2-for-1. We've got Milton here, who is our star player and our Norse correspondent. So, yep, with that, we'll bounce into news and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. Okay, so it's Blood Bowl news time. We've got a couple of bits kicking around in third-party land, but before we do that, we just want to say a big thank you to everybody who supports us on here by liking, by subscribing on YouTube, by subscribing to the podcast, or by supporting us through Patreon. So we've got some new patrons this week. Joel Henry, Andrew, David Seaton, EQNMT, Mario, Maxwell Patel, Michael Thompson, Rasmus Bay, Matt Austin, Deontay Sane, Patrick Glaspie, Shane Earl, Franz Lauer, Lars, Ajax the Riot, and Monty Lundy. Thank you all very much for joining us over there and supporting the show. Appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you. Okay, so we've got 2 third-party bits and bobs going on, and I've naturally, in the show notes, put them in the wrong order, guys. So we're going to hit Hera's Army first, and then we'll check in on the other one. So this is a brand new Kickstarter that went live just the other day, and it is by a team of people. Well, it said by a person called Hera, and Hera Stone. Hera Stone, yeah. My name is Chiara Candia. I'm Italian, 26 years old. Basically, one of oh god, guys, come on, do me a favor. Who's the
Cross Lancers?
Yeah, the leprechaun dude.
Cross Lancers. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is a Cross Lances student, basically. And they've done an Amazon team. And actually, I think it's pretty good. In fact, I don't know if we're supposed to say this. We've got some prints of them. And the models do look very, very, very cool. So this is an STL only Kickstarter, and it is £16 or 18, I think, after the early bird. I went straight in there with early bird, and you've got a whole bunch of independent Greek themed players. So there's a whole bunch of line women, and then the blitzers. Now the blitzers I absolutely love. This is something I really love about this team. It's kind of like they've got like a Wonder Woman vibe, I think, like a Wonder Woman meets Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, it's very Greek.
Yeah,
which the name makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
Being, I don't know Greek or mythology.
I think, to be fair, the Kickstarter does talk a bit about that. But there are these Amazon, which makes sense, like Wonder Woman style Grecian blitzers, two different, three different, several different sculpts, and then there are some catchers, the iris catchers, who have got wings, which is pretty cool, and again it looks very Greek. We've got Artemis thrower with a bow as well, which is interesting, and you've got the RP big guy. Now the RP big guy is a big harpy, right, basically. And it is big. It is really cool. I'm really impressed with that model, and it's very good. And there's loads of like bits and bobs added to it. There's a Medusa star player. It comes with a cheerleader, a coach, nemesis referee, Elio bodyguard, doctor, supporters, and appropriately a chainsaw player, because nothing says ancient Greece like chainsaws. And then there's the surprise, which is a stadium. Now I had missed this, but there is a whole stadium attached to this.
Wow.
And it is Colosseum style, right?
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's really good. Yeah.
I absolutely love this. So £16 with the early bird, which there's 50 hours to go. So this podcast will go out in 36 hours. So when this goes live, you'll have, 14 hours or a day and a half if you're one of our patrons. And you can go back this for £16. You get an entire team's worth of STLs and a flipping stadium.
That's pretty. That is really good.
So good.
I was really happy with it before the stadium, and then
Nice surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, what great value, and then the stadium came along. I'm like, wow, okay.
Outrageous. So yeah, I mean, stadiums are a big investment in printing, and I keep saying on Wednesday they're going to print a stadium or build a stadium. And I will at some point. But I thought this was really cool. Trips picked this one out and sort of flagged it up to us as quickly as he saw it, because he's a huge Cross Lances fan. And I think it was probably advertised through that. So as it stands, smashed the goal, £878 against a target of 335 and 13 days to go. So this one wraps up on my birthday on Thursday the 12th of May. Kuplar all around. So that is that. That is STL only. There's no option to get a printed team. However, the rights to print are very cheap, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a whole bunch of places that pick that up. And just wanted to check in on the Weya Games Amazon team. There's 22 hours to go. So if you are one of our patrons, you will hear this episode Friday morning, and you will have Friday day to get it done. If you're listening to this on Saturday or after, unfortunately it's finished. But I've got to say, they've smashed it, man. Nearly £16,000 against a target of 800. So this is for the kind of jungle themed Amazon team that we looked at the other week. And physically have some of the models. It's a really beautifully cast team. Price is what you would expect. So the human team, £63. And there's a bunch of different options in there as well. So 2 Amazon teams live right now. It's an interesting one, because you've got the kind of crossover there between STL pricing and resin cast pricing. It's interesting. So,
it is, yeah. It feels like it's getting closer though, in some places.
Yeah, I think having printed an unnecessary amount of things today, let alone in general, it's worth it getting someone else to make a team.
Often is, yeah.
I still maintain that.
That's why, like, when I was back in like the big bunga one, it was just like I could probably. Yeah, I could easily print 4 teams for a lot less than this, but then having 4 teams just like there is real.
Yeah.
Sometimes that time is worth it. But yeah, no, it's cool. I think the best thing ultimately is it's great to have options, like
it's so many options. Being able to print your own team is the same as scratch building a team, just with
exactly.
I don't want to say a lot less effort, because there is a lot of effort in cleaning up and supporting.
It's a lot less effort than scratch building though. You could say that, I think.
I don't know, man. I mean, I've built, like, back in the day, many Blood Bowl teams out of a Warhammer Fantasy Regiment set.
Okay, like that. Sorry, when I'm thinking like scratch building, I was thinking you mean like sculpting your own.
Oh my god, yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, that's outrageous.
Okay,
no, but like, for example, getting a bunch of Age of Sigmar Khorne guys and converting it into a Norse team is probably really easy and compared to printing. Thoughts on that one, Milton?
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, actually. I think there's a cost element to it as well, because my Norse team was incredibly expensive at the end of the day. I mean, that consisted of like a box of Khorne Blood Warriors. I ended up buying a box of trolls for one of the trolls to use as a Yeti, a box of Ulf Werner,
Oh, what are they called?
the
Wolfen.
Wolfen,
Yeah.
Space Wolves Wolfen, and I ended up buying a human team box just to cut the arms off a thrower. So by the end of that, I
Yeah,
think
wow.
I'd spent quite a lot of money.
Yeah, but it came with a free human team, so that's something.
Yeah, but like, the thing with like the 3D prints is you can just I feel like you can expand on your team a lot more. I was just looking, there's something really fun on the Wire one, which is Aku Aku from Crash Bandicoot, the mask.
Yeah.
And there's like a mascot in there that looks like he's wearing his mask, and it's cool. And you get all of these like extra cohesive features to your team that something like the Games Workshop teams you don't get. You have to go out of your way. I mean, there are a few extra bits and pieces on Forge World. I noticed the cheerleaders have now gone. You can't get hold of those anymore. And so, all these bits and pieces that you can get from 3D printing. And when a 3D STL team is sort of like put together like that, you get so much more out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
It did take me quite a while to kind of get that Norse team together. So I don't know whether it is quicker or longer than a 3D print. I suspect.
I think, to be honest, I think sometimes constructing Games Workshop kits is more effort than
well, yeah,
3D printing teams. Like, by the time you've clipped everything and scraped all the mold lines off, that's probably more man hours put into it than
certainly. And like for like clipping all the weapons off and like scraping the hands down and things where they're not Blood Bowl players, and try to make them look a bit more Blood Bowl, and they sort of like, they can look a bit awkward.
Yeah, the weapon hands are always tricky. But to your point, Ben, so this week I built the Yeti, which was in 10 pieces, and I printed Grashnak from Brute Fun, which was in 1 piece.
Yeah.
And the Grashnak to be fair, to clean up a STL, to clean up a 3D printed model, you're looking at, I don't know, 15 minutes worth of work to take a print off the plate, to dunk it, to clean it, to wash it, to rinse it, and then probably about 15 minutes after that to cure it. So, I don't know, half an hour you can have a model cured and ready to go. The Yeti, I had to wash it, I had to clip it, I had to tidy it. I did not remove mold lines because I am a bandit. Then I glued it together. Which
that still seems like incredibly less effort than what I went through, I think, in order to
hugely,
build my Norse team.
hugely so. But it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you've got scratch building, you've got buying from Games Workshop, which is, well, I'll tell you what, they're new. As the teams go on, they do get exciting. But I was going to say, let's take the first batch, like dwarves, orcs, Skaven, and humans. They're not exciting. They're good, like they're good to go, like they're great, but they're not exciting. Or you can scratch build a team, which, like Milton said, is going to cost you about the same as a full Blood Bowl team, right? It's going to be 60 quid. And you put the work in, but you end up with something super unique. Or you 3D print something, which is going to take time and resin and more time, and then you're going to fail and then do some more time. Or you go to Punga or Way of Games or Grebo and pick up a team for 65 to £80 that arrives and has a little bit of cleanup and a little bit of gluing. Basically,
sometimes not even that. Like, if they're printed teams, like the dwarves from Grebo, everything's just like 1 piece and it's like good to go. I think that's the best, like, time,
that's fair.
kind of money value.
Was that the dwarf like that you gave me a demo of, Ben? Because that was fantastic.
I don't remember actually.
The Thundergriff Falconbeards, the big, wow looking.
It's the one with the like
ones.
padded, like he had like a head, like a bandana on, and he had like padded armor.
No, that was
leather.
Fanath, I think.
Oh, okay.
The Grebo ones were like they were like Dark Iron Dwarves from WoW.
Oh, okay. Well, they sound cool too.
And to be fair, the Chaos Dwarf team, the Bull Centaurs came in 3 pieces. But I think that was about it. Everything else was single piece cast, and all you had to do was just kind of score the bottom of their feet and when you glued them to the base, which was pretty great. The new Norse team's fun when it comes to building it. Some of it's all right, some of it's not. One of the heads is labelled wrong, and it doesn't take long to build. It just has that classic, like, oh, sweet, this is in 7 pieces. There must be 2 different ways to build it. No, there's 2 heads, and one of them doesn't fit quite right. It's like, Games Workshop, you are so close. Like, I remember the Tactical Marines from 3rd edition 40k, and you were like, this is amazing. I can put his arm up here. I can have him. Well, we wouldn't have called it dabbing back then, but you could, throwing a grenade. He's holding a shovel. It was just awesome. And our Games Workshop were like, hey, our new kits, they've got so many pieces. We're using letters now. By the way, they're using letters now as well. There's a 16 and a 16B.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been building like Necrons and they do that. It kind of is good though, because like when you have
but call the whole model A. Like, just call the whole model
I guess that
1A,
makes sense,
1B,
right?
1C, 1D. Okay, cool. I'm going to build model 1. I need all the pieces that say 1 on. It's like if they made a Christmas calendar, it would have June dates on it, and some would be triangles. And I'm just like, what are you doing? You kill team fascists.
The triangle team.
Yeah.
It is frustrating where you're like, right, where's that bit? And then it's on the other end of the sprue with like a completely different mini, isn't it?
Oh, the worst. The worst. And I don't know if I touched on this 2 weeks ago. So this is like, I guess we're in hobby now. So this was, I think I touched on this 2 weeks ago in the last podcast when we were talking hobby. Recently done some Orc Commandos from the Kill Team set. And my word, that was not a good kit. Like Games Workshop. Okay, right. Okay. Let's actually phrase it like this. It was a great kit. In terms of you had options, like your characters could be built with special weapons or like a chopper, like pistol sword, like, standard orcs, which was awesome. I love to see that in Commandos. I wanted my squad to be cheap, so I just kit them out with basic stuff. But the mold lines on that were so bad, like inch-thick mold lines that took so long to scrape off. And on top of that, the sprue itself was completely randomly allocated. And each thing was like 25 bits per orc boy. And like, it would be like, right, okay, so I've got my sprue. I've got a piece up in the corner. And like, where is the next bit? There's 3 sprues here. And so every single time I had to build a model, for every single bit, I had to look across 3 sprues, being like, where is this? Like,
no, they didn't spread pieces on different sprues.
Yes.
On different sprues.
Yes.
Oh, that's horrendous.
What absolute savages. That is.
Yeah.
That is nonsense.
Do you think
It was awful.
there's a working conditions thing? Do you reckon? Because that sounds awfully like malicious compliance to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that sounds
So like we need this kit on 3 sprues so we can put it in this size box. And then the person designing the sprues is just like, I can't do that. And they were just like, it has to be done. And they were just like,
I have another theory. I have another theory. Like they have a product like made by Chitu Box that designs their sprues for them.
Well, that might actually be it. It
Oh
might
yeah, it might
Auto
do,
sprue.
yeah.
Boof.
Yeah, it might be automated and they just put it.
And then some poor
Yeah, it
efficiently
just
as
goes
possible.
like, what's the best optimization
Yeah.
for like the plastic
Yeah.
cast, and then it just goes and scatters it everywhere.
They are very efficiently placed.
Yeah, and then they get
But
all the
it's very
apprentices to go and
inefficient.
figure out like which is which.
Yeah. My God. But yeah,
You there,
honestly,
Grot.
like, awesome
sort of.
models. The worst kit I've ever built from Games Workshop by a mile. A mile. And I've built some old stuff playing orcs.
So the kit is awesome. I've got it up on screen now because it's just awesome fun. The problem is they've got such good character in their models.
Yes. Yeah, and you cannot complain about the models. Fantastic. Love painting them too. But just building like that is work. That is so much work. I've probably spent half the time building them than I did painting them. And it's just like it took so long. It took a week to build this squad.
Oh wow,
That's crazy.
Right.
It was so bad.
Well, I tell you what, I've got one more thing to mention, and then we'll bounce back into hobby proper. And the one thing to mention is that next Thursday, as this pod goes out on the 12th of May, it's my birthday. Tiff is working late night. She does late night Thursdays, so we record a podcast on Thursdays. And we're going out for dinner on the Wednesday night. So Thursday night was free. So dragging Ben over, and we are going to stream some Sevens games. It's not going to be fancy. We're literally just going to hang out and stream, play Sevens, and have fun chatting with people on chat. It's going to be on our YouTube channel, so subscribe. It'll be around about 8 p.m, depending on can you get here for like 7:30, Ben?
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. So join us for that, but we'll take a very quick break and we'll be back with more tales of Commandos. Okay, we're back, and we're still talking about the Commando sprues.
Yeah. Glad they're done.
So I've got an absolute pile of good stuff for you here, Ben. So next Thursday, on my birthday, I will be giving you a Norse team, a Norse Spike, a Norse Star Player, and a box of Army Painter speed paints.
Oh wow, okay, that was a lot more than I thought.
Yeah,
I was expecting a star player, but
yeah,
thank you. I can return it as a birthday gift. I'll give it straight back.
Yeah, I don't want to build another Norse team. It's fine. It's fine. The Norse team is pretty cool. So
Head number 18 was a little bit contentious. Is that right?
there's two heads, and like it's a bit stereotyping, but these two bald chaps with beards look exactly the same. They've gone with the proper lumberjack vibe. And yeah, the heads are not interchangeable. Not interchangeable at all. So
Wow. Okay.
you can kind of you try and glue it on, and it's just got this
Well, and the
massive...
instructions tell you the wrong head,
Yeah, and you just end up with this
and the fact it looks
massive-
like the other one doesn't. Okay.
yeah, massive jutting out piece of neck meat. Basically, it's the head on the drunken dude is basically labeled up as the head from the Berserker, I think, or something like that. I can't remember how it works. I literally gave up. So I've got two of the worst model in my Norse team now, which is this, you know, the guy who's stumbling forward with like the Viking helmet.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've got two
Is
of
it the
that
arms
pose.
outstretched one?
Yeah, he looks literally like he's staggering.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is sadly what Norse do now in Blood Bowl. But we'll talk about that in a bit. So yeah, hobby-wise, I mean, it's all been Norse. It has been all Norse. So got the team, built the team. I 3D printed a bunch of bases that I had already from my Artisan Guilds addiction.
Oh, awesome.
The Barbarian release had a bunch of like wasteland bases. So I had a look. I was looking through my bases and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be all right. To be honest with you, I just went to my downloads and typed in base to see what I had kicking around, and I was flicking through and I was like, that could do it. So I printed off a bunch of those, prepped, ready for the team to come, including a 40mm for snow pelt and everything. And I think they're great. So I started painting them up. So naturally, I built the team, I undercoated it brown, and now I've moved on with my life. That's not fair. I painted the skin as well. But got a good few Norse games in now, which is cool. Got League starting game in, got a nice star player matchup with Trips. So we've seen Ivar and Thorson Stout Mead on the pitch. So it'd be good to talk about them in the next segment too.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I've been doing some other hobby bits, but I can't really mention that just yet. But been working on some Dungeon Ball bits, which is cool. I had a little bit of an absolute hobby smash sesh this afternoon, which was cool. I was like, I've got an idea, and then 45 minutes later, it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens, right? Sometimes you just have this outburst of, I'm just going to do this.
I've been very impressed at how you've logged this. So Ben's been like planning out this job for like the minute, being like, right, if this is done here, I need to do it immediately, and I get this done. I can have it done by like mid-Saturday at the latest. And I'm just like, that is too much.
Super efficient.
You get no. Right, I built a spreadsheet. Naturally, I built a spreadsheet to plan the printing order so that I could maximize my print times and make sure that I can get as many prints in a day as possible. And then I basically shaved 3 days off by optimizing my print and my which, to be honest, I work in optimization and I work in workforce management. So I think I nailed it today.
I'm surprised it wasn't a Gantt chart. I thought you'd be more of a Gantt chart person by now with that kind of.
You haven't looked in WhatsApp today, have you?
Oh no. Yeah, I've been busy.
Have a look at WhatsApp. It wasn't for the 3D printing, but there is a Bonehead Podcast Gantt chart in the WhatsApp group. It's been one of those days today. Had a good day at work. Cleared off a couple of like big tasks. I was like, yeah, crushed it.
Oh my gosh, there is
a Gantt chart, right? It's important. I'm trying to organize. Thank you very much. It's not automated, but that's okay. I'll show
hang on. Can I talk about this just a little bit? Do you mind if I mention anything on here?
Let's talk. Yeah, no, go for it.
Okay, right. I'm just gonna say the Gantt chart he's linked is called Tiff and Ben calendar, and there are 4 items on this calendar, and they're all Blood Bowl tournaments. It's like, does Tiff know?
Yeah, well, it's
Your
shared with her.
calendar consists of only Blood Bowl tournaments.
It's shared with her.
Okay. Okay.
And now I'm bringing it up on
Yeah.
screen because I feel like I have to defend myself. The Tiff and Ben calendar is excellent. This is how we organize our life because I love spreadsheets. So, we've got the days at the bottom there. It tells me what I'm recording, what video needs to go live that day so that I can track it. So where are we today? What day is it today? It's the 28th today. So today's video was unbox and review of Skrorg Snowpelt, and hopefully I remembered to put that live today. And tomorrow's top 5-star players, and then Saturday's podcast number 92. So it's got all of it on there. It's got what I'm having for dinner because I need to maintain this diet thing going on at the moment. It even keeps a track of how many work shirts Tiff has got and tells us when to do the washing.
Oh, am I only looking
Wow.
at one of these tabs on this Gantt chart? I'm
Yeah.
not looking at the. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. I thought it was like this was the calendar in its entirety.
No, but to be fair, there is a section called filming where the entire list of stuff is. Then there's the series plan, and then there is the
Gotcha.
series calculator, which is what I built to figure out how many teams, if we have how many teams in a show, how many games do we have to play to get them to have a round robin. So, so in fact, pick a number of teams between 2 and 10.
7.
7. So if we had 7 teams, there would be 7 rounds, 3 games a round. So each team would take a bye across each round, and that would be 21 games plus 3 final games would be 24 games total. So if we wanted to have a YouTube series with 7 teams in, it would take 24 weeks to get them to play across that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, that is cool.
That ties into the Gantt chart because I'm like, right, how many series can we kind of wedge in 1 year? Because we're about to start showing the Dungeon Bowl stuff. Then we're going to move into a cheeky little 7 Super Series again before we hit the Winter Bonehead Championship, and then it's going to finish the week before the Super Bowl just to tie it all together. And I'm just really excited at the moment, and in a really planning mood.
That's good.
Yeah,
Help the podcast.
so yeah, I guess my hobby was planning things. That's basically my hobby section this week. Miltonio Banderas, how about you? Any hobby? Any games played?
Yeah, I mean, I've done actually quite a bit, to be honest. I mean, I did the Dungeon Boss stuff that obviously we played, but more on that to come. And obviously with Dorset Dungeon Bowl coming up, it was quite important for me to have my Dungeon Bowl team ready to play for that. So pretty excited for that. Coming up in 2 weeks now?
Just a week on Saturday.
A week
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Even sooner. And so I've also started playing in the Shankers Union Casual League at the Isle of Wight Blood Bowl League.
It's called Shankers.
Yeah.
That's
And
incredible.
I've decided to bring a fresh Chaos team to that.
Without the Minotaur, right?
Yeah, so this is a 4
Yeah.
warrior build. And yeah, I've had a couple of really good games actually. First game was against Nurgle, which was hard fought. Took a couple of casualties. I've decided I'm just going full random skills. But yesterday had a great game, did quite well. 2 of my journeymen managed to score touchdowns. I won the game 2-1. So obviously I've had to hire them, but I do now have 4 randomly mutated beastmen. I just want them to be a big squiggly mess of hands and tentacles by the end of the season.
You're well on your way.
I'm not really worried about what skills they got. I'll just work with what I get given.
Love that.
And yeah, kind of got a mascot rule going on with that league. And so I've been building a little mascot for them who looks hilarious.
Horsehead guy.
The horsehead guy, yeah, who
So this was using, I'm assuming, spare human parts from your Norse team.
So this was
And
the
a
thrower that
horse.
I cut the hand off, and then I got a chaos horse head and put it on his head.
I love it.
And
I
then
think
I've
it's
given
great.
him a tentacle arm, and he's holding a pole arm with a banner, and it's going to be amazing when it's all done. He looks ridiculous. I love it.
I thought that was excellent. I really did.
Yeah, and so no, that's been really good. And yeah, a lot of organizing for me too. I've magnetized pretty much everything in the house. So yeah, no, magnet's great for storing all of that stuff. So I think I've got my my teams all magnetized and boxed up, and that's been pretty good.
Magnets are great, okay. But yeah, Milton, it's a week today as the podcast goes out that we will be dungeon bowling, which is Just awesome stuff. How about you, BT? Other than arguing with Games Workshop mold lines and many piece kits, what have you been up to?
Yeah, I've been up to a couple of things. I'm back on trying to get some more Necrons done, which is really unexciting for the hobby segment. But it's got to be done, and that's just working on that. I've nearly finished building the lot now, so
How much
I
silver
can
paint have
finally
you
start
used?
spraying it. I have gone through 2 bottles of the Vallejo metal color, these big
Oh
ones,
my god, that's
doing that
massive.
army. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not
which is
surprised. Like,
hang on, these are 32 mils. It's like the
that's like
equivalent of
10
like
Games Workshop paints.
yeah, not that much, is it? That much?
No,
Like
I'm
five
being.
five Games Workshop paints, yeah. Yeah.
They're
So
12 mil, these ones.
yeah, so 30 mil a pot at 60 mils.
Right, two of
There's 5 in.
60 mil. Oh, wow.
So I've gone through about 60 mil of metal paint. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's yeah, no, that's good fun. So I've been doing some of that. I did finish off a 40k leader. I kit bashed a big mech on bike.
He was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's finished off now. No, a little bit more weathering to do on him. Then he's finished off. But yeah, he's like, I got one of the servo haulers. They're like the big
The
crane drill
tractor
drill.
things.
Yeah, those things. Yeah, they got like tracks.
See if
Basically got one of those, ripped off the top of it, cut the half of a knob biker, like cut the back half off, jammed the bike into it, messily glued it, hid everything with like fire extinguishers and like mech bits. I cut like half a barrel, stuck it on top to hide a bit of flat surface, and then added any wire I could find in my bits box, just attached it to it. Put a Death Dread claw on top of the servo hauler where the arm normally is, and then attached a shock attack gun to that. So it's like a big mech on bike with a shock attack gun. And I thought him holding the shock attack gun while driving is probably not like as good. So I thought it would be kind of fun to have the gun attached like a mech arm. That's kind of acting independently.
Where
So,
did you get the
so
servo
cool.
hauler from?
I got that in the Conquest magazine a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, when that was a thing. I've had that sat around knowing that I'd use it for an Orc kit bash at some point. And
Because in the Sector Mechanicus galvanic servo haulers kit, there is a massive, like, Hornby scale crane.
yeah, I've got that.
Oh, come on, Ben.
If you want it, I can.
No,
I can't find a use for it.
I don't want. No, what do you mean you can't find a
Okay.
use for it? You're an orc player. Come on.
Yeah, true. I might be able to make like a gun from it or something.
It's like an orbital gun. That's just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a gold mine of Orc bits, that kit.
Yeah, no, I couldn't wedge that one into Blood Bowl. Like, I suppose we could with enough kind of trialing. I guess you could play Blood Bowl in an industrial factory, and it could be a thing that does random things. I don't know. Maybe that's the stretch.
Yeah. Oh no, I did.
No,
think I
stick
have-
stick a what is the television Cabal vision like ball on the end of it and use it as like a crane that swings over the pitch to like
A
do the
camera
match.
crew. Oh, that's
Yeah.
actually really
That's
cool.
quite a good idea. Yeah, you can put some like snotlings hanging off of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna build a stadium for the Wobble League, you know.
Oh wow.
That could
Yeah.
be, because I'm gonna print off loads of Fanath and who did the Okay, Ben, I'm gonna try this one with words in a sentence. Let's see, let's float this idea. Who did the Kickstarter for the first stadium
The first stadium Kickstarter.
with STLs?
Kraken?
Yes, Kraken.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't the first, but it was like the first
Okay.
one. We were like, oh my god, they've got a load of fans. Fanath have got a load of fans. I figure we'll just print a bunch and give them to everyone at club. They'd be like, hey, paint 10 dudes. Here you go. You paint 10
That's
dudes.
a good
Here you go.
idea.
You paint 10 dudes. And that's like
That is a really good idea. And then you
Two-
get like such a mix in the crowd
Yeah.
as well, of like everyone's styles.
200 dudes. And just chuck them around. That'd be wicked. I
That's
think
a
it's-
really cool idea.
I think that's a cool little idea, and I get to print things. I like printing things, mostly because I like saying hello to the Amazon man when he brings me boxes of resin. I've had
Oh, I love that.
had some serious deliveries this week. I had like 100 poster tubes turn up for our Dungeon Bowl mats today. Had a couple of crane arms turn up, boom arms for filming, and obviously resin after resin after resin. It's so good.
That tube box was a box you could fit in.
Yeah, there was two of them too. It was,
Yeah.
it was yeah. There was questions from Tiff when that one turned up. I was
Yeah.
like, hopefully it'll be gone soon. So yes, when we put them for sale, if you could buy them so I get in less trouble with my wife, that would be
You
terrific.
can order stuff to mine if you need to hide it.
Yeah, I've seen your garage actually. That's a really good point.
Room for it.
Really good point. Cool. So hobby wise, yeah, I've been doing some Norse stuff. I'm gonna try and get the Sevens team for Norse painted up for our Sevens game on Thursday, Ben. My Khorne team will not be painted, but that's fine. They're bright red. That's okay. But yeah, so that'd be really good fun. Anything else you guys want to add before we delve more into Norse?
That's about
I
it.
think that's it.
All right, good stuff. We will take a break and be right back. Okay, it's Norse time. So we've looked at the roster before, we've looked at the stuff before. We thought we'd actually just get together and kind of talk about the Spike release and the team as it is and how they play on the pitch, because we got a few games in and they're pretty cool. Now, you guys, I don't know, Milton, have you had a chance to see the Norse team in the flesh yet? Did any of the guys at club have the Norse team?
No, there was a lot of chat about it. I think quite a lot of people have bought them, quite excited about them, but no one was running them in the leagues yet.
Well, that is disgraceful.
I think we're going to see a lot of it very soon. Maybe not in the Shankers. I think they're probably looking to run them in other leagues. So
I imagine the Isle of Wight dudes have already got many Norse teams.
yeah, I think Norse have been quite popular despite not having a Games Workshop team. I think they're still quite a popular pick.
Could you imagine giving everyone on the team block? Goes down quite goes down quite well with people.
Yeah, I mean, went down pretty well with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've not yet to see them in the flesh. I'm in two minds about it, really. I'm a little bit bitter, having built my own Norse team, as I explained earlier, at some expense last year.
And
but
that's
your Norse team,
have,
it's not like everyone else's Norse team now, so it's unique to you. So at least you have
that's very true, and I'm very proud of my Yeti. So
and your Ulfwereners are big boy size as well, which is
the Ulf. Do you know what the Ulfwereners? I'm not overly keen on the GW kit. There's nothing wrong with them. I just I feel like the Space Wolf Ulfen kind of fit the bill a bit better.
They
so do,
good.
Yeah. They've got the bulk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not replacing my Norse team. I think Trips is kindly printing me a couple of pigs.
He is, yeah. He is from Caliver, I think. Caliver 3D has done the pigs already. So if you've got a Norse team and you need some stuff, then that's a good way to go with that. The Wire Kickstarter, they've produced some, and I imagine that Grebo have got some out by now, probably. I don't know.
I don't know if they did.
I don't know either, actually. So yeah, I mean, Milton, this is a really good place to start because we've had you on the show before to talk about this exact thing. We did an episode on this. Is it worth buying a third party Team of Legend team because they're gonna get changed up, yo? And they got changed up, yo, a little bit. Like the team translates. So as an owner of a bespoke team, how do you feel about the roster changes? From a model point of view. From a model point of view.
We'll talk rules in a sec. Because, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, obviously, as I discussed earlier, my team is themed very much around that kind of the Khorne blood warriors, bloodbound. Well, I can't remember what they're called from Age of Sigma.
Come on, Blood Tie. This is your area of expertise. What are the naked men called in
Blood Reavers?
Blood Reavers. That's the one. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's not the box you can buy, but it was the kit that came on the red sprue that came with the starter set or the starter box, the original Age of Sigma starter box, which is slightly different to the box of them. And I studied the sprue quite a lot, and that one sprue provided me with all the linemen I needed, 2 berserkers, because there's 2 guys with the horns pointing up with extra armor. I guess they're the champions of the
Yeah.
of the blocks, and there's a whole bunch of guys with like just helmets on, and then there were two guys that were in like running positions without helmets, and two guys that were sort of standing back, which were without helmets, that were perfect for throwers. And so that worked really well for me because I basically got all of those positionals out of just those sprues. And all I
Mhm.
had to add was the Ulfwerener and the Yetis. Now, of course, I've got two runners and two throwers, which are not an awful lot of use to me anymore in the season 2. And neither of them look particularly like Valkyries or beer boars. So, um,
Now the beer ball, yeah, definitely. The beer ball is definitely it's very unique. But you know, the thrower playing the role of a Valkyrie, I think, is going to go down just fine all over the place. I think that's basically normal now. I think we're going to see throwers as Valkyries for everybody who's got an old school Norse team or
well,
a custom Norse team.
you very kindly printed me some nameplates for them.
Oh
So
yeah, Wargname is going to need to update those, isn't he?
yeah, I don't suspect
No,
there is.
dude, be a grognard about this and just call them throwers and just continue
Just
to
call
call
them
them
throwers.
throwers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's the same skill set, isn't it? Really, like catch, dauntless, pass, strip
Yeah,
ball.
they've
I mean,
got better and better movement. They are
and
much
better
better.
movement.
They're
But I
they're
mean,
worse catchers, better throwers is basically where
yeah,
they
I
are.
mean, my guy's like running. He looks like he's running. He looks like he pick up a ball, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I'll get away with it. It's not the end of the world.
Do you know what I used for a beer bore in my first test game?
What did you use?
I used trumpets. The snotling with a
Ah,
trumpet.
incredible.
Oh, nice.
It just fit right, and
He's more of a pick me up than a pig with a
exactly.
barrel on him.
Trips was like, "Oh, I've got a beer ball. Do you want to borrow a beer ball?" And I was like, "No. Trumpets is here to inspire people."
Yes.
I mean, he died really quickly.
Oh, okay.
But that's kind of what Trumpets does. If you've watched the
Oh,
Bonehead
so how
Trumpets.
are they then with the beer boards then? Like, do they
Yeah.
like? How did you find them? Is it worth talking about those now?
Okay, we'll go into the rules change there with the beer balls because yeah, I mean, there's beer balls are great for Jimmy carring your way into having a better team. So you can kind of use it as a way to fudge the money to get to get like a better lineup. So in a world where you basically take a beer bore and upgrade your berserkers to Ulfwereners, because you can get that extra strength, you can use it that extra 30k. However, when they are on the pitch, they are great at times. Like you don't mind fouling with them, and that they're stunty, they're dodge, they're titchy. They move around on a 2+ everywhere. Like, so in the Norse team where you will need assists, right? Having a dude that can just 2++ out into the open, even if there's only 5 squares of movement, being able to just go and be that inspirational +1 to give you a 4-die block on a frenzy punch with a Ulf against a chaos blocker or against Ivar, like which happened. I got to use the beer ball to dodge out to tag Ivar to then allow my Ulfwerener to eat him with 4 dice. And like the beer ball is great in that regard. However, it's a proper victim player. Like I strength 1. No skills. I mean, dodge is a skill, I guess, but strength 1, everybody's 3-die blocking you, and you've got armor 0.5. Like, Trips literally broke armor on 1 dice because the other dice basically rolled off the table, and I was like, well, you did it on 1 dice, so it doesn't really matter. They die real quick.
Are there stats, snotling stats?
Yeah, but without sidestep.
Gotcha. Okay, and with no hands, right?
Yeah, with no hands and pick me up. So yeah, they do stuff. But
yeah, but I
they
like
die.
because when I saw their rules, like I just assumed that you would play them. I mean, quite far back. Like you basically just bring them in when you need them and then just run away.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair way to do it.
Then you are 1 player down, like actually doing stuff.
But
that is the trouble with them, right? Like
yeah.
you
it's taking up a positional like a lineman, which is only 30k more, which has
block
more score. More skills.
But sometimes, if you want to get the Valkyries, if you want to get the Ulfwereners and the Yeti and or a star player, you don't have that 30k. So and they are great for star players. So one of the formats we ran, Ben, was the Summer Series format. So the 1100 with 5 primaries for tier 1. And I had to take a beer bore so I could fit Thorson on the roster and still have Ulfwereners and Valkyries and a Yeti. Like,
Right.
it was fine. And when you do that, the beer bore becomes player 12. So for the first drive, and it is only going to be the first drive. Let's be super clear about this, because Norse you will lose players. It's fine. Like, for the first drive, it doesn't even matter. Then you can bring them on. And on defense, they're actually pretty useful. You can play them in such a way where you can put them behind the line, and everybody is within that halo of 3 squares, and it works really well. They're good. They are not amazing, but it's.
We'll touch on. We'll touch on Thorson in a little bit, but would you have run? No, with that roster, would you have run that Thorson beer bore list, or would you have rather taken something else like more Lineman or whatever?
I've run a beer bore in both my rosters now for Norse, because, well, it's important to try them out. I wanted to try out Valkyries, and I want, being able to take them is good. You don't take a beer bore if you don't have to. I think is basically where I am on them. Is okay. It's fine if it means you get everything else, but you are playing with. It's a half player, okay. So if you've got 11 players and one of them's a beer bore, you are starting with 10.5 players on the pitch. And if you've got 12 players, including a beer bore, it's half a player. So think of it like that. And if you have to, there's some rosters out there that are max positionals with rerolls, but 2 beer bores.
Yeah,
you can do it. But your beer balls are going to be heroic every now and again, and you'll see that because a beer ball is going to foul a dude off, and those beer balls are going to get somebody up on a 5+, and it's going to be the most epic thing you've seen. But those are the things you're going to remember. You're not going to remember the time they just got ruffle stomped by a human lineman because they were existing. It's rather painful, shall we say. However, and I'm going to jump straight in it now, and again with the Jimmy Carr thing, League, taking a 11-man roster with 2 beer bores, your first game's going to be a bit rough. Then you fire both those beer bores and get the free journeyman, and you are good to go.
That's great.
Because then you start, you're basically starting with 1060 with 1,060,000 to build your team. Your first game is a couple of beer balls, and the beer balls might do something great, and you might be like, woohoo, actually, you know what, never mind. But actually, if it goes bad, you can just fire the beer balls and get those journeymen after game 1.
Because I'd take loner block pieces any day.
Yeah, loner block is fine.
When they're free. It's
but yeah, sorry, Milton, you go.
So well, yes. No, I was just thinking about League, and I was thinking, well, like some people like to play League with like character. And so, like the beer balls are quite like a unique positional and like a unique character for your team. And I was just looking at it, and I was like, they don't even get primary access; they only get secondary access. So if you had to pick a secondary access agility skill to give one of them, what would you give them?
Oh my gosh, sidestep all day long.
Turn them into a snotling.
Yeah. The fact they don't have sidestep, it feels really weird. And they just feel of no use when they get punched. That sidestep on Noblars and Snotlings is just such a benefit. It's just such a it's a sugar-coated hand grenade. It's like, oh, this is lovely. Obviously it's going to go wrong most of the time, but it's lovely at first. But with a beer bore, it's just all bad. Like there is nothing other than badness. Like the beer ability is great. And 3 squares is pretty much a ton of space because you tend to scrum up with Norse. And it's going to trigger every now and again. You're going to get a dude standing up, and it is going to be useful. So they are not useless, but they would be better if they were Snotlings. No pick me up, nothing else. Just actually, LOL, Norse have got Snotlings now because they're fairies.
Like but I mean,
Norse fairies, like from the stuff they sell you in.
It's fairies.
airports and things.
And you know what? That wouldn't have been so weird because the human team got halfling hopefuls, didn't they?
Yeah, it's a weird one. We'll see beer balls. You, Milton, you are exactly right. If they can build character or they can make you feel better, but I think we'll see them when people can't afford not to use them. So the first couple of games of a league, maybe you'll see a beer ball. In a tournament, you'll see beer balls, but they'll be on the bench because you've got star players on the go, and then you'll see them being used as reroll markers, and that's fine. They're cool. It's a great twist, and what it does mean is that you can allow that extra bit of building, which I think is awesome. And someone can be like, you know what? No, I'm running both my beer balls. I don't even care if they're terrible. I'm just going to run around and cause carnage, and that is great because Norse were great, but now they've got a little bit of spice. And honestly, like the catcher was a good positional. The thrower, you only took the thrower if you wanted a leader caddy. So I mean, we said this for ages. I think they've made the catcher a more interesting player, and they've got rid of the thrower who was not doing anything anyway, and put a beer ball on there that's actually just a fun other way to play. Like if every roster got a really subpar, seriously guys, pick a roster that's got a player that has a subpar player on it that you never take, that is not a death roller.
Ooh, that's actually hang on.
Yeah,
There is one. There's got to be one.
Black
Okay,
Orcs.
for Milton, it's orc throwers, right? But we can, that's.
Well, I mean, we had this discussion before, didn't we? Like the orc thrower is a weird positional, isn't it?
But it has a purpose. It has a clear purpose, and it's a clear choice because it's like, actually, you know what? I get sure hands. Yeah, all right. It's an obvious like, do I want A or do I want B? The human thrower on the Renegade team is probably the next in line for being just a bit like, you can take him, but it's a bit of a not great. And then
It's got to be one. This feels
skeletons on the undead team.
No, skeletons are fast at movement 5. They're great. You need skeletons. So yeah, I mean, this is it. Of all of Blood Bowl, every player is a choice, and they all have their uses. And the beer ball absolutely has its use. The majority of that is the fact that it's 20k, but actually, it has its use. You know, the beer ball is the orc thrower of the Norse team, and that's that. That's.
I'll cancel my order with trips then.
Hey, and if you've got if you're going to a tournament and you've got 20k left over, why would you not take a beer ball? Like you can take an assistant coach instead.
It's better than an inducement, I reckon.
Yeah, you just chuck him on like it's turn 7 or turn 8. They've just scored. You don't have a chance to score. Or, you know, it's just one turn and you're not going to be able to get a quick score on the go. You just run him out and then you go frenzy block with this guy, frenzy block with this guy, frenzy block with this guy, move my other dudes up and run in the beer ball and go for a cheeky foul. If he gets sent off, I don't care. For a tournament, beer balls are going to be really useful because they just fill out that 20k roster and they provide that like buffer so that you can buy what it is you really want. That is useful.
What about the chameleon skink? I don't think I've ever seen anyone use one of those.
Oh, they're pretty good now.
Yeah, man, they're great. On the
Are
ball,
they good now?
on the ball and passing 3+. They're like one of the best throwers in the game. I need that on a shirt, actually.
Best thrower in the game. You played a game against, or one game, 2 games against Trips?
Yeah, 2 games against Trips. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had some thoughts from Ian who couldn't make this episode. But should I relay his
run through
thoughts? Let me just find where he's written this. Yeah, got it here. So Ian says the ability to send your guys up potentially is great and really annoying as an opponent to the point that beer balls will be hunted down. They can assist, they can foul, but if they're in base contact, they will be leaving the pitch as the AV is so low. Great bench player, and for 20k, fill the gap in the team, but you'd never skill one up. It won't last. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Pretty much a summary of what you said.
Completely agree with all of that. I think my games with Trips were actually quite challenging because we both understood, you know, the assignment, as the memes say, because we both knew what the beer ball was trying to do. We both knew what the star player's special power was trying to do. So he ran Ivar, and talk about this in a second. He ran Ivar. Ivar's special power is he can move an unmarked player 1 square into a tackle zone. So I marked the heck out of all of his players, so he didn't get a chance to do it. He made sure that Thorson was away from everybody else, so he couldn't throw his barrel at them, and then just took out the beer ball so that we couldn't do anything with it. Like, it was all very much kind of like counterplay, which was probably stupid because we wanted to. But actually, a good opponent is going to be like, right, actually, we need to take the beer ball out nice and early. It's a quick punch. You don't get any benefit out of it. He's gone. And it was good to see them actually fight. I mean, my Yeti got nuked on turn 1 of the first game, which was very offensive. No. Yeah. So then played the rest of the game without a Yeti, which was Yeti. Yeah, Yeti gone, down a beer ball. It was 9 players real quick. In my so yeah, that was an interesting one. So yeah, the beer ball, I love that it's here. You won't see it very often, but it's great to have stuff that's not ubiquitous, I think, in Blood Bowl, because it's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, I think it would have been even better if it had been 0 to 6 beer balls.
6.
I think it would have been great. Yeah.
But then it's just a stunty team.
Yeah, and that would have been really entertaining. To be like, he's running the beer pack, the ball pack. It would be great. Like, I got
beer ball meta.
Yeah, I got 6 beer balls, a wizard, 2 Ulthroners, a Yeti, and Griff. Like, that would have been that would have been awful. Like, that would have been a really interesting team. But I mean, 0 to 2 is potentially more sensible, and
yeah, probably
that's probably fine. Yeah. So the Valkyries.
You mentioned those very soon, very very late. So last week, we spoke about these, didn't we? And we had actually quite mixed opinions.
Yeah, Milton, having gone and clinched 3rd place with Norse in a tournament earlier. Well, where are we? Last year. It was last year.
Last year, yeah.
You lost the catchers, you've lost the throwers, and you've got the Valkyries instead. What's your first take?
It's an odd one. So I took the thrower for the leader access.
I told you.
And so I didn't play the catcher. I don't think I've ever played with the catchers.
Catchers are great. They're just 1 skill away from movement 7. Well, sorry, catchers were great. 1 skill away from movement 7 blodgers with Dauntless. They were wicked little extra players.
I think that was one of the hard things with the old Norse setup, where you had the catchers and the berserkers are both at 90k, and the Orfwerners are 105.
Yeah.
For the Team of Legend, and like trying to get all of those in, particularly into like a tournament roster, it's challenging. Like, there's a lot of positionals, and you're basically having to curate around your tactic.
What if we added a 20k stunty player?
Well, but even then, like, and so, I think the decision was right to get rid of the thrower and the catcher, and I think the Valkyrie looks decent. 95k. It's a very reasonable price for the skill set you're getting. In terms of league, the access you're getting, you get agility general and passing on primary and strength on the secondary.
Yeah.
So they've got a really good pool of stuff to go from. Obviously with the changes where you can sort of like curate your SBP in order to sort of choose where you're going with that. I can imagine that like a league team will take a Valkyrie to become a bit of a star player, really. Because then they're not going to be your blocking game, your hitting game, are they? They're going to be your passing and your scoring game. And so, I think they're a great player. I think I'm going to ignore it. I think the next time I play Norse, I'm going to be playing it at Sand Bowl again, and I'm not going to build around them. I think I'm just going to go with the punch again. And see how that plays out. But obviously it will change now because I don't have access to that thrower in order to get that leader. So I'll have to think about my rerolls and how I want to handle that.
And being able to take leader on a Valkyrie is a really great utility option. But dude, you don't want to do it because it feels like such a waste.
It is.
It'd be like putting leader on a human catcher. or a gutter runner. Like,
Like one skill, we said this in the last podcast. One skill on a Valkyrie turns them into an absolute machine, and it can kind of you have so many choices with that one skill, which immediately makes them a different player.
So,
You can make them brawlers with because they got Dauntless. You can make them proper brawlers with blodge and things like that.
Well,
or they can be like. What
this is the thing with the thrower. It had block, so you could pretty much it was 20k more than the lineman, but you could literally just throw it up to the line and sort of act it as another lineman, but you don't get that as a starting skill with the Valkyrie. And so, like you say, completely, that is just totally wasted. The leader just feels totally wasted on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, because this is your position or this is a scoring threat. So when I ran the tournament build with against Trips, I had 2 Valkyries. I went for the Valkyries because I thought, actually, I'm going to need... Well, I want to run them. One had Wrestle and one had Dodge. And I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't pick which one of those 2 skills was better. They were both...
I mean, you were playing Norse Mirror, right?
No, this was Human.
Oh, was this with Human?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I played against Ivar with Humans. Yeah, I mean, the Wrestle was excellent. Wrestle Strip Ball did its thing. Go in there, get the beer bore in, couple of dodges for an assist, go in there, 2-die block with Wrestle Strip Ball, boom, ball comes out, and then everybody died. But until that point, it was going really, really, really well. Now, that game was also played in a blizzard, which we're going to come to Lineman in a minute, I think. But yeah, so the Wrestle was amazingly good, and Dodge was really, really, really good, because movement 7, Dodge... they're just real speedy because the rest of the team is not speedy at all.
Did you make any? Did you do any passing with them between Valkyries? I know neither you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no,
I know neither you nor Trips are passing players generally. So.
Oh, I love slinging the pigskin. But no, I tried, and what happened? I think the non-dodge. No, I think the dodge Valkyrie just snake-eyed it. I had a proper little cheeky. All I needed was a 3+ with a reroll into a 3+, and then a 3+ with a reroll, and then a 3+ with a reroll. I was like, this is going to be easy.
That's good odds. Yeah, that's good odds.
It was not bad, but I'll tell you what, a pair of Valkyries gives you a stretch play. 7 movement on one, 7 movement on the other, 3 square throwing game, that's 17 squares. So it's actually the Valkyries, and I think Dodge is the best skill to start with, because like Milton said, you've got Bash, you've got Ulfrunners, you've got Berserkers, you've got a Yeti, you've got plenty of dudes that can... nug dudes.
And yeah, if you're scoring touchdowns with them, which Dodge enables you to do a lot easier,
yes,
then they're going to skill up so much faster. So you're going to get more money from
more money from touchdowns. Yeah,
so you can afford to buy brawler players if you want to keep them as scoring threats. So
So I think Dodge is the slightly. I mean, we're talking Brexit margin, because using the problem with it, and I think this comes back to what Milton was just saying about the old school catcher and thrower combo, is that you will never really have your Valkyries, your Ulfrunners, and your Berserkers together. You will have I'm going to take 2 Valkyries and 2 Ulfrunners for the strength, or I'm going to take 2 Ulfs and 2 Berserkers for maximum carnage, or I'm going to take 2 Berserkers and 2 Valkyries because I don't have quite enough to buy the Ulfrunners, who, in my opinion, are strictly better. I know Trips has very different views, and I think I might be wrong on this one, but let me tell you, Ulfrunners with block. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And with a cheeky little beer board to go around and make sure you've got an assist. Hello, 245k star player. Smash! With my Ulfrunner, who may look like a tiny little man, but he's just got an angry... You guys have seen The Watchmen, right? You know how angry and small Rorschach is?
Yep.
That's how Ulfrunners play now. They're just tiny, angry men.
I'll give Triplo's thoughts on both players.
Lay it on us.
So for Valkyries, he said that this position is the start of the team because that movement without Drunkard gives you a lot of ground to cover. Give them dodge and whoosh, they're off. Give them block and bang, that's a great safety. Give them a passing skill / nerves, you can pass. Give them wrestle, they're a pain. Give them 2 of those skills, and wow. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, I really like that. I think, like you said, Dauntless with wrestle and strip ball is just really nice. There's so much flexibility. I love this player so much. Absolutely love him. I kill to have them on every single team.
God, they would
everything I
be
want.
amazing
Everything I want.
on like as a position on a team. They would just be like the best.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I think dodge first, and I love wrestle. I mean, I know you don't really want wrestle on a ball carrier, so it's a bit of an anathema, but actually they're just so utilitarian at that point. And movement 7 dodge is going to give you plenty of scoreability. Like, and because they've got armor 8 plus like everybody else, if I've got the ball, I'd rather be wrestled than blocked out. Obviously block would stop you from being actually blatted at all. So technically block is better, but wrestle and strip ball just works really, really, really well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And for Ulfs, he said, amazing, solid blocker, won't run around, but you can frenzy through the middle. They will tie up 2 opponents each. The obvious skill up is block. You want these guys to punch holes all day.
Yeah, I mean, Ulfs haven't changed. So Milton, what are your thoughts on the old Ulf Warrener in this new lineup?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, there's not an awful lot of difference. The Ulster are an interesting one. I love them. I'm in the same boat with you, Ben. I think they're great, and but they are quite fragile off the. I know they're a strength 4, so that sounds like a bit odd to say, but
The lack of
that
block.
frenzy and that lack of block.
Yeah.
When you're coming up against teams that like have a lot of block as well, so when it's sort of like a bash versus bash scenario, they can be quite fragile. That frenzy can certainly get you in trouble if you're not careful with it, and it's an expensive piece. That you can lose quite easily, particularly if they need support. They need something around them to kind of help them deal with whatever it is they're dealing with. And while they are amazing, you need to kind of roll with them. You either kind of get that momentum with them and they work great, or otherwise they just sort of hit a wall and they can kind of become a bit problematic. I think I've had a game or a couple of games where I've lost one of them quite early on in the game, and that's really thrown the whole team composition where you've quite like hinged on them supplying that strength support. But great player, and I would always choose to bring them.
You are right. Not having block is painful because you are going to roll that both down skull every now and again, and it's really going to hurt you. A 2-die block without block is as likely to fail as a 3+ dodge with dodge. So, I mean, yeah. So it's pretty good, good odds, but we've all dodged with a goblin, and it's been like,
double 2.
Yeah, just can't do it. And that double 2 is both down, both down. But the good thing is you can give them block nice and easy, and especially for tournament builds. So I put block on both my Ulfs. Yep. When I wanted, it's so difficult because there are times where block is just the best thing in the world, and they knock a dude down. And you're like, I should have gone with Mighty Blow instead to finish them off. Well, I tell you what, as soon as those guys get brewing with block and Mighty Blow, it's going to be murder. And then and that is just awesome. So the Norse team is a really great one to start with, but then when the Valkyries got 2 skills, when the Ulfwarren's got 2 skills, we haven't even got to the Berserker yet. They are like top tier players at that point because it feels quite linear, but actually that's just excellence at that point. Big fan. Okay, should we talk Berserker?
Yeah, so this one is, I'm looking forward to this. I think you should kick off, Ben.
I mean, the Berserker is a great player. Just for me, is overshadowed by the Ulfwarrener because you can give an Ulf block, but what you can't do is give a Berserker strength, and it's just it's horses for courses. Okay, the Berserker and the Ulfwarrener, if you can get them all, then it's awesome, but then you're running 5 frenzy pieces, which is risky of itself. So I feel like you kind of have to choose Berserkers or Ulfwarreners a lot of the time, and I would go on the side of 2 dice. But I guess 1 die frenzying technically is a 2+ versus a 3+ with a reroll, although 3+ with a reroll is better.
And what happens if your Ulfwarrener gets knocked down?
It's got better armor, so it's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, that's true.
No, go for it.
Yeah,
go for it.
Trips has said, Ben and I disagree on this player. I love them. I think they're essential for the makeup of the team. The reason, jump up frenzy. You can block away, fall over, and still reposition next turn. They might make great runners as well, but you will risk being positioned out of it. But I am a huge jump up fan.
Milton.
And
Yeah, well, the Berserkers are great, and jump up is fantastic. Like you can't. It can get you out of situations. It gives you that last ditch attempt, and with the frenzy on top of that, I mean, I've yet to make a play, but I can see like some sort of stretch plays there where you just use the jump up, you dodge out, you go for the ball carrier, you frenzy them, you get a push, you frenzy them again, you get the pow, and you win. Beautiful.
it's just so strong. Like it's just the fact that you can block from down, from prone, is really massive on this team.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, the scrum is real, and being able to get up for free. So one of the games I played was against Trips, and it was a mirror match. And I think I went 2 Ulfs, 2 Valks, and a Beerbor and stuff, and he went with Berserkers instead of Valks. And Zerks are great. They stay in the fight. They just stay in the fight, and they are fast because they are, that they are movement 9 when they're prone.
Yeah.
And like
they're
you guys,
decent. The way I would imagine them is they're actually quite decent for running into enemy cages, because even if they do go down and survive, like
Jump up
if
is
the
real.
cage doesn't really move, you can just jump up and block the ball carrier. Yeah, so you kind of get another shot at it. So yeah, I really like them for that. It's like real. Like I would play them like cruise missiles, where I just throw them into where they need to be. They get knocked down. Hope for the best they don't roll armor, and then
you can
just
still
be
do that with
really
an
annoying.
Ulfwerener though. This is my point. Except you need less support.
You've got a blitz as well.
All right.
Get them
Here's
to do it.
here's a question. Here's a question. With one skill, who is better, an Ulfwerener or a Berserker?
An elf is better.
Yeah, I think the Ulfwerener wins out on that.
What's the what skill would you give the Berserker then, Milton? First up.
It's either Guard or Mighty Blow, I think.
Yeah, I mean Guard is very useful on this team. The linemen do not have access to Guard.
No, and well, if you think about it, obviously the Berserker is a strength 3, and so if you chuck Guard on it, you can then support other your linemen up, and you kind of give yourself a bit more coverage to cover that like lack of strength. Obviously, the Mighty Blow for the glory.
Yeah, I think Ulf's block Mighty Blow, and these guys with a cheeky bit of guard, they've got good mobility, like you guys said. And then a Berserker and a Lineman takes a 2-die block because the Berserker's got guard, and then the Lineman is the assist for the Berserker to then 4-die block someone with Frenzy. It's a really, really, really good shout. Now, I guess this is something that hasn't changed in this edition, Milton, is that if you are going to run 2 Ulfs and 2 Berserkers and a Yeti, you've got 5 players on your line with Frenzy. How risky is that?
Well, I'm going to find out sometime this year because I'm looking at running that build for Sandbowl this year. I'll be taking the 2 Berserker, 2 Ulfwerener, Yeti, Lineman, 1 Beerbor. And so yeah, I mean Frenzy's a challenge. You can get carried away with it. It's an additional thing to think about when you're playing, but I don't think it should put you off having that much Frenzy. I mean the Khorne Demon team and the current Khorne team, they kind of they play around that.
The Khorne guys having strength 3 Frenzy, no skills, do make the Berserker just seem like god tier.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
which is fair, which is really fair.
It's amazing, and you know what? Like to start off on the line, if you can get those block Frenzy blocks and get some casualties or get some knockouts and just sort of like clear a path, and the first like couple of turns you manage to do that, it can make the game for you.
Okay, I think the important thing to do now is move on to the linemen. Now, the linemen have got better and worse at the same time, and it has a massive impact on how the team feels. So the biggest change here is not the thick skull, which is just brilliant. Okay, it keeps them around, and it really does keep them around. Okay, thick skull is worth half a lineman a game, at least, right? At least. So it kind of makes up for the beer ball being garbage, for taking punches, which is fair because it's a micro pig. From a microbrewery. Hey.
Nice.
Combo. But their ability, the drunkard skill, which is now that they can only rush on a 3+. Let me flip-flopping Norske sausage tell you, they are slow as, man. Absolutely slow.
Really? Does it make a big difference?
Oh, it's massive. And
okay.
This may be recency bias as well, because the second game was played in a blizzard, which is they are 4+ rushing, which means that they cannot rush. Okay, they cannot rush. And in my first game with the Norse guy, guess what I rolled as I moved into the end zone to score the equalizer? A 2. A 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I was hoping it was. Yeah. Okay.
2. I go for it. Took a go for it, and it was a 2. And every other team, dwarf, Nurgle, undead, that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
But because they're drunk thick skull numpties, it was not. And actually, I think it's a really good balancing point. Like, I originally, my take was thick skull's great. You shouldn't be rushing anyway. But you will rush, and every now and again, you will have to take that with a Norse team, with a normal team, take that 2+ to get that extra assist that you need to forward eye block to do stuff, right? When it's a 3+, you can't do it if you only have 2 rerolls. And Milton, you'll know this from running Norse, you kind of get to choose great positionals or rerolls. You don't really get both, okay?
No, that's
and that was fine in the olden days. You were like, 2 rerolls is enough. My dudes have got block, and I'm going to play well, and it was absolutely right. In this edition, you guys have got block. You can play really well, but if you play really well, your guys are movement 6. They are movement 6, full stop, new line. You do that thing with the typewriter where you press the thing and it goes, right? And it just resets because there's nothing else on that page. This is a little bit of hyperbole. One, because I imagine a lot of our listeners don't really know what a typewriter sounds like. And they probably shouldn't. But they are...
It does make me wonder, because that's the thing. So if you do go the full bash, you're probably not looking at, the Ulfs or the Berserkers picking the ball up and running with it.
Which means you've got a lineman.
Which means you're relying on the lineman, and if the linemen are, that hamstringed, this is where the Valkyrie does feel like it's quite an important player on the team now.
So lineman, really slow. Valkyrie, insanely fast. Because the Valkyrie is movement 9 without too much problem, right? A lineman is movement 6, movement 7 with a lot of problem. And I know it's just maths, but like a 3+ feels so much worse than a 2+, right? A 2+ is picking a T-mug up by the handle. A 3+ is picking it up with your teeth. And that's how it feels in Blood Bowl.
Wow. I can see why it brings you so much pain when I 3+ start to escape and then.
Yes, it does. I'm like,
I'm just like picking up every mug with my bare teeth.
Yeah, Ben's like juggling mugs of tea over a Blood Bowl pitch, and it's like, and it's ultimately it's twice as likely to fail. Okay, so it's 200% worse.
Right, on the last podcast, I think I phrased this as, what if you had dwarf linemen and you sacrificed 2 armor, save 10k, and you every single time you guarantee go for it? That's kind of these players, right? And the 2 armor, who really cares? You got block. That's better than most linemen have. That's more defense.
Yeah, that's still good.
Yeah.
I hate that you've won me over with that argument.
They are still a good player. It's just that, the change is change, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I want to be super, super, super clear. It is a marginal nerfing, they are great. The team is really great, and I think, Ben, can we cut to Ian's notes here on the lineman, because I think
Yeah.
he calls out the Benism of this a little
So he
bit.
said, well, block is great and the thick skull will help, but you need to work on the basis that these guys will not be running around providing support and doing stuff. The MA is standard linemen, but go for it are a dice roll you don't want to be making. These guys need to be the support, the frenzy in the team. Try not to roll dice.
And then the last sentence of Trip's notes was, would I play them? Yes, I would. Would I recommend them? Maybe not to a Skaven player. And I think this is probably something that I found, because you brought up dwarves, and if you go back and watch the game I had with Ian when he was running halflings and I was running goblins and I was running dwarves, dude, fastest dwarves you have ever seen. They were rushing, they were going for it. It was great. I was having a great time. They were running around. I just felt like my feet were nailed to the floor with the linemen, because when I forgot that they weren't nailed to the floor, my feet came off. So it was it's noticeable, and I think what it is it limits your flexibility, and I think I love it. I think this is beautifully done. They cannot be trusted. They're great, but and sometimes they do get too drunk and let you down. And they have nailed it.
It's the fact that it would be so much worse if they said they cannot make rush rolls. You know, they can't do it. Because the fact that the temptation is there, that it's always looming. You're just like, you need one more square to the end zone.
You can do it. Like, you can
it's
try.
Just like, oh, it's a 3-up.
It's a 3 plus.
It's that tension. I think that's fantastic. It's a cool rule.
Yeah.
It's not that punishing. It's not super punishing, but it's very punishing psychologically.
It is psychologically brutal, and it's beautiful. This is probably it's a superb flex. Now, whether you like the fact that there's now an extra rush stat basically in the game or not, that is definitely something that is there to be questioned.
It's an extraordinary skill, isn't it? I don't know if they'll add this to.
Yeah, they've done it. They've like the pick me up and the drunkard are very thematic skills. I think they could have probably done something a little bit better. Like they could have made the beer balls power inspirational, and then they could have just given it to a star player or given it to somebody else or something like that.
Yeah, Thorson.
Yeah,
had it.
Yeah, exactly. And drunkard. I don't know what they could have made drunkard. Clumsy. You know,
yeah, that would have worked. Yeah,
they fail on a 1 or a 2, like, and then you're like, oh yeah, okay, I've got this dude, this guy's here, but he's actually clumsy. Could have given it to the giant, like made the giant clumsy. It would have been a really good like game design thing. But
he could be drunk as well, to be honest.
Yeah, drunkard. Drunkard works fine on a giant. Oh, maybe that's the missing thing for the Storm Giant team. Yeah, drunkard. Boom. Good job, lads. I mean, Milton. As the last kind of piece of this puzzle is the lineman there and the drunkard thing. How much of an impact is that going to have on your game plan, do you think?
Well, I don't think too much, because I don't really go very far. I just hit people, so I won't be making too many rushes. I'm using the Norse as a tournament build, and I'll be bringing Griff. So he'll be my.
He'll be marching around. That's fine.
He'll be marching around and doing that kind of business, and so it won't affect me too much. You know what? I still think they're fantastic. I think it's super thematic. You know, the fact that you're saying that the Valkyries are that fast. That's, from what I understand of like Norse mythology, that feels very like of that vein. They're great.
So it's an absolute flavour win, I think. BT, anything to add on the Norse team before we just briefly touch on the star players?
I really want to give them a go. I think they look so fun. I really want to make the Norse passing thing a success. They've got the strength to back it up, and I think the Valkyries can handle it on their own.
Yeah.
So that's my goal.
They can. They really can. So 3 Norse star players have landed. Skrog Snowpelt is the Yeti. Full disclosure, we've not used him. I used the model. He is my Yeti because I think he's a jolly dapper chapper. But as for his rules, I don't know. It will be fine. But for 50k less, you can get Scylla if you want a psychotic claws mighty blow piece. So there's gonna be some people who want to run Snowpelt. But I think you're better off running him as a Yeti. as a Yeti model if you want to go for it. It's a great model, and I am very much looking forward to painting him up, which is something I don't do a lot, but I've got my scheme sorted. Well, actually, I have and I haven't. I was like, oh, I'll do this other famous Norse team. Guys, guess what colours that other famous Norse team uses?
Oh, I don't know.
Blue and
Green.
orange.
Green.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, Ben.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, well, I can't paint him in green because I get abuse. Yeah, so Skrorg, great model. Not used him on the pitch. Not massively enthralled with what we've seen, but it's fine. But I guess more on that on the next topic. Thorson Stout Mead, who the Donkey Kong guy, is just a lineman with bad agility. Okay, he's a lineman for 170k with 4+ ag and 3+ passing. Ben, for your Norse passing team,
But
and he's got that beer barrel ability that he can throw the beer barrel at somebody within 3 squares at the start of his activation. We need an FAQ as to whether he can move after that or not. Trips and I erred on the side of he can't, but I think there's an argument to be said that actually the wording of it is the same as the wording of the Bombardier skill, but the Bombardier skill says you can't move after it. This one doesn't say you can't move after it, but it is also a special action, so beats the hell out of me. I think it's safest to err on the side of he can't. It does make him medium, but let me tell you, that 3+ pop the ball out ability, awesome. And it's once per drive, and I'll admit, one of the times he just missed. He rolled a 2. He didn't get smashed. The other guy didn't get smashed. But that threat of activation was massive. And you could almost see the bubble around him on the pitch, where Trips did not want to bring the star player or the ball into that bubble around him, because it's a 3+, they get knocked down and you roll for armor. It's just a 3+ sniper shot. So the threat of activation is massive. Now, once you've pulled the trigger, he just becomes a lineman that costs 3 times what you'd normally pay. But you know what? At that point, he just moves in and supports the Yeti, supports the Ulfboriner, to do those stuff. So actually, I think he's great. I think 170k is too much if he can't move after, but I think it's not bad at all. And what he does with the throw-in stuff is going to be so key sometimes.
Mhm.
Any thoughts on Stout Mead?
I mean, he does sound interesting, but only because of his special skill.
He's a wizard on the pitch, basically. He's a once per drive wizard that then once you've used the spell, turns into a lineman. And
yeah, and that seems like, wizards can go very wrong.
yeah, but you get this every drive.
It's true.
And on offense, actually, it's really cool because you can just 3+ remove a guy who's in your way. So whether you're trying to create a running lane or whether you're trying to set up a crowd surf or just a really profitable block, you can just be like, right, actually, you know what? I'm going to pop his feet right now. 3+, that guy goes down. Roll for armor. Maybe I'll get lucky. No, I don't. Okay, that's fine because I've now set up 2 4-die blocks. There will be a time where it will be useful on every drive. It won't be groundbreaking, but it will be useful. And do you know what? 3+ to put a prone guy is like, I would take that probably most of the time. He wasn't epic, but he was a good. And 170k for a star player, that's all right. As far as star players go, I think that's all right.
Okay, so he's the same price as Rumblo. How does he compare up to him?
It's difficult because Rumblo is there to be an Ulfwariner on a team that doesn't have Ulfwariners.
Yeah.
They're there to be your strength 4 safety, and the Norse team does not need another strength 4 dude. They've got loads of them. They're good to go. So, Rumblo's great every turn, but he's only a strength 3 dude with block. So is this guy.
What's Thorson Stoutmead's group for star players? Who has access to him?
He's Old World.
Old World, so OWA dwarves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a good star player. They've got a good pool of teams that can take him.
Ogres?
Yeah.
Amazon?
Ogres. No,
Amazons are Lustrian, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are they only Lustrian? Okay.
Yeah, Amazons are sitting in that weird place where they don't really exist at the moment.
How would you find his model, Ben? What you searched? Like, because I remember when we talked about this, like, it's just like he looks weirdly proportioned. How was he in person? Like on the pitch?
Way better than you thought. Way better than I thought.
Really? Okay. That's
And
good.
when I built him, he was way better. He's got big legs, like Heathirk, but probably the most appropriate way to discuss it. But yeah, he's old world classic deep. Oh, that's not the teams, is it? I've done the wrong thing. Never mind. I'll get rid of that. Yeah, no, model's actually much better in person. He lines up really nicely with the worst looking lineman in the box. So he's not a treat, but he's not a trick.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I did just to clarify, I did have a little flick through the rule book, and every action which you can move and then do, they specifically specify you cannot move after performing this action. So I think I'm with you on that, where the fact doesn't say that.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, that was kind of where my head was at. But we do need an FAQ. Now,
It would clear it up, yeah.
I tell you what, him being able to do that, much better. Because you can activate him, throw the barrel, then move in to be a support. At that point, he's great every time. Being like just not activating him essentially for a turn can be a bit punishing. But it's fine. Like I tell you what, if you consider him a positional instead of a star player, awesome. Like if you could roster him and take him in your starting lineup, you would always take him. I think is probably a really good way to think about it because of that special ability. But yeah, he's at 50k less. He would have been outrageous. So he's probably priced fairly. He does a good stuff. It's not too overpowered. Impressed. And then there's Ivar Erickson, who I think has a little bit of a resemblance to Rick. Now look at the model.
Does look like our friend Rick.
Yeah, I know, which is awesome. So Ivar is dubbed the Norse Griff, and he is not Griff. He's 245k. Griff is 280k. This dude is movement 6, block, strength 4, armor 9+, tackle and guard. Right? He is a great blitzer. He is great at doing stuff. And his special ability is going to be key at some point. Now, his special ability is once per drive, you can activate a player within 5 squares who is not in a tackle zone. They can move 1 square as long as they end up in a tackle zone. FAQ is required because what happens if you move on to that ball? I believe because it is a movement action and not an involuntary move because it says you can move them, they get a chance to pick up the ball. So actually...
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be times where that's a really interesting combo. His power didn't come into play too much, but that's because I made sure I was kind of basing a lot of Trips players kind of to stop him from using it. And it was okay. And him running around doing strength 4 block guard things was really good with a human team with guard as well. He is excellent if you are disciplined. He is not a superstar, and there was definitely times where I think Trips and I were both kind of thinking, damn, if he was Griff, this game would be over. Because let me tell you, movement 7, edge 2+, dodge, strength 4 with sprint is very different than movement 6, strength 4. This guy is good. He is not broken. The power's going to come up every now and again, and it's going to be interesting and it's going to be useful, but this guy is a general, not a hero.
Yeah, I really want to make him work. I really do want to try and make him work. I would, if that is ruled to be the picking up the ball thing, I think he could be pretty interesting for a passing Norse team.
Yeah, and
so I feel like I do want to try and roster him into a tournament list.
A big part of that is going to be whether or not it would trigger a turnover because it's not in the player's activation. So I don't know. And that's the thing, is because if you have to move him into a tackle zone, so say a ball is in your opponent's tackle zone, if he gave that player an ability, it basically gave you a free shot at picking up the ball, that would be massive. That would be great. I don't know. It's interesting, but I think again,
yeah, I know what you mean.
He's priced fairly at 200k. He'd be Zug is 220k, I think. something like that.
Yeah.
For strength 5 block. Mighty blow, maybe? Yeah, mighty blow.
220. Yep. Block mighty blow.
And this guy is strength 4 block guard. Guard is really useful. And 245. So guard is really useful.
Frenzy on your team, very useful. Yeah.
Well, he was running them in a human team, and
Gotcha.
he had some mighty blow blitzers, a guard blitzer, a guard lineman. So it was just strength. And this guy does really well against Norse because that guard just takes away the strength of the Ulfrunners, takes away that free block ability for Norse because you're like, well, I'll take a 1-die block, it's fine. Now it's a negative 2-die block because Blondie is standing next door to you. Really interesting. But with the aid of a beer boar and a wrestle Valkyrie, the ball doth pop out. So that's quite good. Yeah, I targeted him with my Yeti a lot as well. I was like, no, I'm going to kill your star player. It was a bit of a knife fight, actually. It was pretty wicked. We were both like, let's kill the star player. You want to try out the rules for him, do you? He's going to get guard and foul him. Yeah, it was a good match. Did Trip say anything about the stars?
Ooh, that was a good point. Yeah,
He did,
my
yeah.
tab is closed. If you've got it, Milton, you can be Trips.
Yeah, so Ivar, not a cheap Griff, as he's nearly as expensive, but strength 4 guard is great. He's a great passive piece and will tie up opponents.
Yep.
Can go any way with that guard and help and be safe. The special ability is wonderful, but open Norse aren't a regular thing.
That is fair. But I mean, there will be those times where you just get the ability to move your big guy into a tackle zone. And my Yeti did fail a couple of wander around rolls. So actually, just the ability to just chuck him into a tackle zone and then 2+ frenzy block would have been way better than a 4+ wander around because I had to blitz with my Valkyrie. So that is definitely good. I think he'll probably go better with Norse than with humans because you've got more people on a Norse team who you want to be in combat regardless, whereas a human team you kind of got to like form Voltron with your guard and mighty blow pieces.
You say he's old world classic as well?
Yeah.
Him on ogres could be quite good.
Yeah.
You can like move ogres into base contact. That could be quite nice.
And he's cheap enough to fit as well.
Yeah, is he Edge 4 as well?
He's 3+.
Oh, is he 3+? Okay.
So he's not 2+.
Can't believe we're still talking old terms. It's been so much. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so he's not quite got that Griff level of that.
Doesn't have the Griff. The Griff.
I think I'd still rather have Griff Ogreworld. You know, it's you got a roster.
Griff is better. For 35k.
By quite a long way. Like I think Ivar's a bit oddly priced, but I'd still be interested to try him out.
Trips also put some notes in there on Thorson, expensive journeyman who can throw a bomb. Yes, the skill is great and seriously makes you as an opponent think about it, but don't take him. So Trips says no to Thorson. I think it's a cool alternative build. You know, I like it. The Norse team's good, and 170k you can still buy the rest of your team. I had to have a beer boar as my 12th guy, but I got both Ulfs, a Yeti, and 2 Valkyries in my roster with 11 dudes plus Thorson. And you do give up some stuff. It's not optimal. I think Norse optimal at 1100 TV is probably without a star player, because you just get the whole Norse team with reserves. But yeah, love it. Right, guys, anything else you want to say about the Norse stuff?
That's probably it. We covered quite a lot there.
I think we've covered most of the bases.
I think it was worthwhile taking a deep dive. But yes, BT, I want to get you that Norse team and get you building soon.
I want to paint them. I'll get it done by next week.
Right, we will take a quick break and be back with more star players. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.